And I was fighting with depression for a long time. It all started in 2004 when I gave up my job, which was a very cushy job with government, and I moved to another city and another new life. And a lot of things, started hitting me, a lot of negative energies and, my own thinking. So I became a full-blown clinical depressive case. And with time, because I was eating to destroy myself, there was this eating disorder, and the weight kept on piling on, and I grew eventually to 135 kgs. And then during the course of time, along with other medical illnesses that I acquired because of my depression and my lifestyle, I lost control over my motor functions, and I could not walk for a long time of, say, around 7 years, out of which for 1 year I was totally bedridden. So I was, in this vegetative state, and that state of mind I was continuing. And I would see people going around and having normal lives and all that. So, it slowly started becoming very clear to me that I have to fight back and not give up on life so soon, because I was young at that time. And then I went on a diet. I gave up most of the medicines, and slowly the medical issues started evaporating. They vanished, and I lost the weight, and I became mobile. I went to a physiotherapist to relearn walking. And by 2014, I had lost the weight. I was this 74, 75 kgs person. And then I joined the gym. I joined swimming, and, started reclaiming my life, so to say. So it was a struggle. It was a struggle, no doubt, but I made it. See, I had a very good support system, as in that I lived with my sister and her husband, and they were very supportive of me. They were a young couple at that time, and they treated me like this, senior member of the family, and they were looking after me very well. So this thought was really nagging on my mind that I've become dependent on them, and I'm not letting them enjoy their lives and, go around like other normal couples, because I was there, I was sick, and I was crying, and I was a burden. So this thing was building up inside me, that whatever issues one might have, you have to be independent. You have to be able to tackle them or deal with them yourself, and not pull others into that vortex of your depression. So it was slowly building up. It was not like a switch being switched on. It was building up for a long time inside me. And I came to a point when my brother-in-law, one day sat with me, and he had a heart-to-heart discussion with me, and he requested me that I know you as a very, intelligent, active person, when he had met me. So don't give up now, and please try to reclaim your life. So that is what set me thinking. And it was then a slow, it was a long road towards recovery. But I made the first, I took the first step, by acknowledging that, yes, I'm wasting my life.
So I used to suffer from sciatica. In fact, I still do. This happened in 2008 and 9, where I was told that, because my pain severity is so high that I'm likely never to get out of my bed. And they used to forever keep me doped up. Now, the medicine would keep me doped up, and the pain would also keep me doped up. And one fine day, my husband, who's also my guru, he sat with me and he said to me that, see, being in this pain is like being in a daldal, a vortex, or you can even call it a pigsty, where, whatever you do, you love, rolling around in that. And people, once they get into that, they only want to stay in that because they find it, very good to just roll around in that pain and forever trying to gain people's sympathies and all of that. So he told me, he said, see, all a person will talk when they are in this phase is they are only going to talk about their pain and the trouble that they are having. So very soon you will start losing people because people will not even want to talk to you. Forget friends, forget relatives, forget your customers, everybody, including your immediate family members. Your children will also not want to talk with you or be around you too much because all the time all you want to do is whine and cry. So it is very important that you get out of it. And as doctors had said, it's going to be an invasive surgery, and the problem will keep on recurring again and again. So you know they said literally there is no point in getting the surgery done, and you have to learn to live your life. Now this was at a point of time in life where I couldn't move at all. I was completely bedridden. Climbing 4 steps was like climbing Mount Everest. I used to have tears streaming down my face. I couldn't do any activity beyond 10 and 15 minutes. And, it was a very, very difficult thing for me to accept because I'm a very active person. And then he explained to me that what one can do is one has to tap into the energy which is there inside all of us. It's very much there. It's a very beautiful part. And you tap into that. And with the help of that, you can actually, get out of this and do anything possible. And so initially, I didn't agree with him because all I could think about is the pain I'm in. And that, he's telling me that I need to get out of it. See, at such a time, the hurt ego is too much. And I was really upset with him because ideally he had likened me to a pig, and nobody likes being called a pig. But that's exactly what I was doing. I was wallowing in the pain. And then when I gave it a thought, I realized that what he is telling me is true. Do I need to forever be like this? That's what he asked me. He said, is this what you want? Do you forever want to be bedridden? I said, no, I do not want to forever be bedridden. So I said, okay, fine, let me try. And I tapped into that energy which is in us, that power which is within us. And using it, I slowly, started moving around. I started getting back to the store, getting back to the activities. But I, had to continuously fight because that brought in severe obesity. So I bloomed to 107, 108 because it became zero activity. And then any movement and anything was very difficult. So I worked to get out of it, and well, here I am today. Okay, so there are 3 tattoos I'm going to speak about. One is over here. This, if you can see, this is Krishna. Now, I'm a Pakka Krishna devotee. I really love Krishna. And when I was going through one particular difficult phase in my life, I was even denying Krishna's existence in my life. And then one fine day, I said, no, I cannot do that because Krishna is my everything. So I said, I'm going to have him at a place which is close to my heart. So I can never ever forget what Krishna means to me in my life and who he is. So this other tattoo is this one. This is a phoenix. And a lot of you know I went through a very difficult phase in my business and everything got wiped out, losses, everything gone. So down in the dumps, and then I fought to get out of it. This is after I got into the acting and all. So this I got done last December to tell myself, remind myself through what phase have I, rather I'm still getting out of. It is one can rise from the ashes and soar to great heights. The same time, I got this tattoo done. This is a semicolon. I don't know if you all can see. So semicolon in grammar means that it's not a full stop. It's not the end. It's a continuation. A semicolon tattoo is a tattoo for solidarity for people who go through depression. They go through a very tough phase in their life, and they reach a phase in their life where they are thinking of committing suicide. In spite of me being such a strong person, I did reach a phase in my life where one day I really wanted to close everything and take my own life because I felt I couldn't go on. But I did. What pulled me back from that was I said, my children will not be able to bear the thought that their strong mom has taken this kind of a step and she's accepted defeat. So I didn't do that, but I didn't have the courage to get the tattoo done to show it to the world because you're actually telling the world, you're opening yourself bare by saying, hey, you know what, I was going to commit suicide. But then I said, no, it is very much important because a lot of the people go through it. And I think it is very important to talk about it, that one need not take that step to end everything, and one can continue in life. So yeah, this always reminds me that I'm out of that phase and I didn't close it.
Tattoos do tell a story. When I was out of my depression, but still fighting with it, still fighting with the weight loss, and I was still very fat. So my psychiatrist, told me that do something which can remind you that you have to live life to the fullest and don't give up ever. So I could think of a tattoo because I always wanted to have one, but circumstances didn't let me. So I went to a tattoo artist and got this thing done, which was my first tattoo in life, live life to its fullest. Then later on, other tattoos also came, and this is a Roman warrior helmet. So you become a warrior, you have to fight back, and that is how these. Yeah, so this is the story behind my tattoo. Came to me by default. I had lost my weight from 135 to this 74, 75 kgs fit person. And there was a journalist next door who saw me, say, after 2-3 years, though we were neighbors, but I was always inside and, I was a recluse. So he liked the transformation and he brought out an article in his magazine, which was a local magazine with those before and after pictures. And from there, the modeling agency in Delhi with which I began, they noticed my pic and they called me for an audition. They somehow got my phone number from the same journalist. And I went for that audition in 2015, which was, when I'd lost my weight, ek saal ho chuka tha is baat ko. And I went for that audition very reluctantly because, nobody in my family had ever tried modeling and acting. And I myself was coming from a space which was very, I was hugely complexed and I was very antisocial due to all my complexes. But my brother-in-law, again, he took me by force ke nahi, aapko jana hai audition ke liye, you have to give life another chance, So when I reached the audition, I saw ke sare young log jo hain wo wahan pe aaye hue and they were all fit and all. So I told him that, bhai, I am at a wrong place. See, everybody is so young and I'm this old man. But he said that now you are here. So when I went in front of the photographers and I stood under the spotlight and the spotlight was switched on, it came as a signal from some force above. And I could understand right at that moment that this is what I was meant to do in life and I should take it up seriously. And they selected me in the audition to my surprise, but then things were put at the back burner. Ek mahina nikal gaya. And I was, scouting for a party place in 2016, 15th January ko for my birthday, which was on 16th. And I get a call from the same agency that we are shooting with you tomorrow. So on my birthday, I ended up doing my first shoot on 16th January 2016. So everything, came as a signal from somebody up there. So this is how my journey started.
Absolutely. And which birthday was it? How old were you then?
2016, I'm 59 born.
Okay. Okay, great. This is fantastic. So Kalpana, tell.
So my journey started from Bangalore itself. And this came about after I had worked on myself for about 6 months. So like I said earlier, I was suffering from sciatica and the obesity. So when one has obesity, one is very conscious. So I used to try to hide my size. And for me, the change came in about 2014 when I had gone for my daughter's graduation to England. There, I had gone wearing very baggy clothes to try and cover my size. And I saw women of all shapes and sizes, wearing clothing and, they were quite happy about it. So I spoke to my daughter and I said, why do I need to be like this? So we had a chat and she said, Ma, you need to learn to accept yourself. Okay, and that is where the things will happen. So what I did on coming back to India, I said the acceptance first starts with stopping coloring my hair. So I used to always dye it black. I stopped coloring it. And I said, I'll let myself go gray. And I made efforts. I used to slouch tremendously. So I started, shoulders back, walking tall. And I started giving myself a lot of positive affirmations looking into the mirror. Where I used to hate myself, I had to tell myself, that I look good, that I'm good, that I'm worthy, and that I love myself. Because one reaches a phase when you're so low that you don't even love yourself and you hate yourself from the bottom of your heart, which is exactly what was happening to me. And I worked on myself. And though, the call I got in December, it was as though, yes, this was also like surprisingly, Dineshji, I got the call around my birthday.
Right.
That somebody had seen my profile on another person's Facebook page, and I got a call asking whether I would like to be in an ad. Now, had I got a call 6 months earlier, I would have never said yes because I didn't have the confidence in myself. But the 6 months that I worked on myself, I was, feeling very good about myself because even though earlier I had done motivational talks, I never walked the talk. Now I was walking the talk. So I was feeling good about myself, but yet I said, you know what, let me once just ask my family. And they all said that, you wanted to since childhood. Mama said no because, we get the standard answer when in childhood you ask. At the age of 16, I had got, and my mama had said, अच्छे घर की लड़कियां ये सब काम नहीं करती. So I was turning 51 and I got this and my family said, what is there to ask? Go ahead and do it. And well, that's how I got my first role. So my first 4 years were in Bangalore. And at the age of 55 last year, 29th Jan 2019, I shifted to Mumbai and said कि चलो देखते हैं हम कुछ कर सकते हैं क्या मुंबई में.
So you shifted specifically for your career?
Yes, to follow my this passion. So I had closed down my business in Bangalore in October 2018. And one day we were all sitting and talking. So my husband asked me, so what are you planning on doing next? I said, I don't know. I can't sit at home because kuch katta hai. I've never sat at home ever. And I don't know what I'm going to do sitting at home now. So he said, are you saying that because you're not going to get support? I said, no, I know both my children will support my decision if I say I don't want to work anymore and I would rather they take care of everything. They will support me. But I don't want to sit at home and I want to do something. So he said, you were telling me a while ago that Mumbai has tremendous opportunities. Then why don't you go do something and show? So his statement to me was, तुम्हें लगता है तुम में कुछ है, right? तो जाओ ना मुंबई जाके करके दिखाओ. He threw me a challenge. He said, I give you 6 months. In 6 months, if you not, made even a dent, forget a mark, made a dent, got some good work and all of that, then you come back. And then we see what to do from there. But you think you have it, go alone with no support, nothing. Go break into the Mumbai industry. I said, okay. And I went.
Great. So, and you have broken in.
Grace of God, yes.
Absolutely. So start.
Yeah, for me, it was, the entire struggle happened before I became a model and actor. After I became a model and actor, everything fell into place. I was totally welcomed into the industry with open arms because I look so different and I'm 6'1" tall. And so the fashion world, was so glad to have me as part of that team. And then I started walking for designers all over India. I was opening shows and I was, you being frisked away. It's a high glam life. And eventually I started walking as a showstopper because I earned this name as an actor and a model. And it was like a cakewalk. Having said that, the struggle comes from within yourself because, you have this desire to be successful and, do something next which can challenge you, and you go on, setting the bar higher and higher. So I've tried to, maintain my diet, my fitness, and the travel is like crazy. For the last 2 years before this lockdown happened, I was traveling constantly all over India and abroad for fashion shows and shoots and all that. And I managed 6 movies in 2016 to shoot for them, and a few of them released. 3 of the movies are still awaiting release, and lots of TV commercials and fashion shows. And I'm a judge on so many modeling contests of national level. So it's been a crazy life, and I absolutely love it. And everybody has been very accepting to me.
Fantastic. That's great to know, and that's probably very encouraging for anyone thinking of giving this a shot. So Kalpana, how has your experience been?
My experience in Mumbai has really been very good. In Mumbai, I have found most people, they will help you out. So I met a couple of people over here who went out of their way to tell me how I need to go about, by telling me which production houses I should go to, how I can approach people and all of that. So, it was a very eye opener, because when you are not in Mumbai, I used to hear people say, oh, in Mumbai people don't want people from outside to come in a lot and all of that. And, it's very tough and all of that. It is tough. One has to persevere. That is very much there. But people are really good. So I meet a lot of young, old, all people at all auditions. I used to go for lots and lots of auditions when I came here new last year. And people were very nice. They were really very nice. They will go out of their way. They will see somebody older has walked in. Somebody other, if they will not get up on their own, somebody else will give one tap to another person on them and say, hey, can't you see there is an older person? Get up and give a place to sit. These are the kind of things which uh, it's not that I was expecting it just because I'm older. That doesn't, we are all basically on the same platform. But it feels nice when somebody is doing that. And whether it is on set, they will really take care of you. They will really ask, ma'am, do you need anything else? Are you comfortable? Should we ask somebody to get you something? What would you like? And people are really very nice. And they really made me comfortable. So I've thoroughly enjoyed myself, and I would tell anybody who wants to get into this, go for it. Yeah, bada maza aata hai.
Yeah, give it up. Absolutely.
Oh, and another thing, Dinesh ji was talking about fitness. So I have also been working on my fitness. And yesterday on a call, both of us were talking about this is for everybody who's listening in. Do you know what both of us are doing, which is beyond the workouts to stay fit? Can anybody even guess? I doubt anybody can. It is we like doing pocha in the house, jhadu pocha, BJP. बर्तन तो करने पड़ते हैं, but झाड़ू पोछा, and is the pocha which really made a difference to me especially. I lost a lot of inches at my waist and hips, and so it's really helped me tone up. So anybody who says it is not possible, hey, I challenge you, pocha maro roj.
I think we'll all start doing pocha now, the real way.
Naji, that lucky to be living in one bedroom. This thing, I have 5 bedrooms and a hall and everything. But I start in the morning because there's no house help right now. The staff left for their homes, and मुझे 2 बज जाते हैं to do the cleaning and all. After that, lunch for yourself and all that, and सारा दिन ऐसे निकल जाता है. So I've lost around 5 kgs during this lockdown.
And I lost 8 kgs.
That's awesome. Like that kg competition.
Yeah, but जब मैं post देखता हूँ Facebook पे लोगों की, तो people are gaining weight because they are eating too much and they are calling it lockdown weight gain, as if the lockdown is some kind of infection which happened to them and so they gained weight. So I don't subscribe to that. Your fitness is in your hands at any time, during any time, any period of time. Your fitness is one thing.
Since we have,
I've been lucky, as Kalpana ji said, that we are looked after very well, being at this age bracket in the industry, and plus I have managed to make a name for myself. So you are put up at very good places where you can go to the chefs and get your food customized. So I'm basically happy with the dal khichdi. You can give that to me all day long. I won't mind that. Plus I carry my dry fruits and all. And I have done this thing that even if I reached a hotel at 2 a.m. at night, I've made the staff open up the gym for me and I do my workout. So I'm very particular about these things. I never compromise on my diet. चाहे कितनी भी बड़ी पार्टी में मैं जाऊं और कितनी भी टेम्पटेशन हो, and I always make sure that I do my workout. तो अभी मैंने घर पे भी weights वगैरह, I've got a small gym at home, तो उस पे मैं करता रहता हूँ, and food has never been now a problem with me because I take very good care of my diet. Because all this career I have built up on my fitness. Everybody hails me as this fit person at the age of 61 plus, and people look up to me. So I have to be very, very responsive towards that. So no compromises.
You can't let that go.
Yes.
You can't let that go at all. That's
absolutely.
Great. So Kalpana, what has your fitness routine been like before lockdown when you were thinking of getting into the industry?
Before lockdown, I used to do my regular workouts, and I had joined a Zumba class over here. When I go for shoots, I will eat whatever is available. But I'm very clear, I need roti sabji dal chawal for lunch. because I try to avoid eating dinner. My dinner is generally fruits for which I'm at home. If I'm there on set and I need to eat, it's a night shoot, I will, I eat there. I don't, say anything to them. On time, on set, sometimes because we are shooting so non-stop, there is no time to work out. But then I ensure that when I'm at home, I do work out. So the workout is, for me, it is mainly for myself so that I remain fit. Um, because I feel that as I grow older, life is going to throw a lot more health challenges and issues. And when I'm fit, I'll be able to face them much better. So fitness for me is more of a personal goal than anything to do with acting.
Sending me messages कि हम model बनना चाहते हैं and what should we do. So I've been telling everybody that let's take up modeling first. That modeling is divided into a lot of categories. There is ramp modeling, there is print modeling, and then there is garment modeling and all those things. So for ramp, at any age category, you got to have height on your side. So for men, it's at least 6 feet, and for women, it's at least 5'7" or 5'8". So if you've got that height, you should try ramp at any age. Of course, fitness is very important because designers make a particular, size of clothes. They don't make clothes for people who have a large size. So you got to fit into the clothes that are already made. And so you got to be fit, you got to be tall. And if you are not one of these, then you can try print modeling, which is a photographic modeling, wherein a lot of Photoshop is there and editing is there. And if you have a good personality, and a lot of people now want images of senior age people, for their advertisements, so you can make it there. And if you are not even good looking, tall or anything, and you are talented, super talented, then you can try your hand at modeling also, at acting also, because acting requires talent only and a screen presence. So I would like to suggest everybody that please assess yourself that which category do you fall in, and then go and make an effort to be successful there. There are a lot of WhatsApp groups for auditions for acting, and there are many Facebook pages and Instagram pages which are made by casting wallas. So you can go and show them your portfolio online, or you can go and visit them when this lockdown is, and everybody is very welcoming. This is what I realized of fresh talent, because they want newer faces. The new faces bring their own charm and novelty. They are not exposed, and their acting styles are also spontaneous and fresh. So this industry is, in spite of whatever images we have of this industry is very welcoming to outsiders and newcomers. So if you have this dream of making it, you must try.
And I just ended up calling people, and they said, you just send us your photographs. I send them my photographs. Now, I did not go and do any portfolio. So this is a question which I get asked very often by people, whether they do need to get portfolios done. Especially for us older people, this is what I feel. We don't need to get a portfolio done. You don't unnecessarily spend money, because it will cost you anywhere from 50,000 to a couple of lakhs of rupees. Okay. Some of the younger people, they have to get done when they want to enter the modeling world.
Yes.
So recently somebody asked me that, then what should I do? What kind of photographs do I take and all of that? I said, see, there is a lot of daylight available. Go somewhere. If you want, you go to a resort, take a lot of change of clothing with you, different kinds. Okay. And then just get somebody to take good photographs of you where there is a lot of natural light falling on you. Do the most minimal of makeup, because if you have too much caked up on your face, they can't see what you actually are. So do the most minimal of makeup and take out pictures like that. Now, one of the things which happens when you do a shoot for a portfolio is that they will do a lot of Photoshop. So I remember one of the casting directors telling me in the initial stages is that, see, I don't want to see your Photoshop face, because I need to send a raw canvas to the casting, to the director or to the client as to what is it they want. Then they will put whatever they want on your face. Okay. But they need to see what is it that you actually are. They don't need to see a made up face. They don't need to see a Photoshop face. Now I've heard things where people have been sent pictures where the person is very fair and everything, and when the person actually lands up on the set, the person is quite dark and beatish complexion. Now, I don't have anything against color. I'm sorry, but
Correct.
it is wrong representation because they were looking for a certain characteristic. And when you are on the set, they can put a certain amount of makeup to make you fairer, but they can't have the kind of look which they need. Today, a lot of dusky people and a darker people are also getting a lot of work. So, no prejudice. Nobody, please take me wrong. This is not about that. I'm just giving an example of what happens when a Photoshop image is sent. And
Kalpana, we can't hear you.
sorry. So I personally feel that no need to take, no need to do a portfolio. Just take very good pictures in different clothing, some half, some full. Give a smile, give a side, be very natural, don't be anything put on. And those pictures are the ones which really help. Now, if you have done a portfolio shoot, okay, a portfolio shoot, ideally they will ask you how many months back it was shot. If you say it was about 7 months back, they say we need fresh photographs. Because beyond 6 months, they say your look has changed and other things. You will have gained weight, you will have lost weight, or whatever, your hair will have grown longer, this, that. So we need what are current pictures. So you can't go and invest once again. You may not have got work in the previous 6 months, but you can always still go somewhere and take fresh pictures in natural daylight. So that's how I think. And anybody to get in, the industry is very, very welcoming. There is nepotism in any and every industry. Okay, it works even in this industry. That is not something to be scared of. Like Dinesh ji said, you have talent, you will get work. Okay,
Yes.
but just be ready to persevere. And most important, you have to be humble. You can't show airs. Just because I acted with Rajnikant, next time I go for an audition, I can't be like, oh, I acted with Rajnikant. BS, nobody cares about it. Everybody has worked with somebody or the other big, whether they are worked as an main artist, as an extra, or whatever. Everybody has. So don't put on airs. Just be yourself, be nice, and people are very nice to you. You need to be nice to them first.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, Dinesh, you want to go first?
Yeah, see, my life's first TV commercial was for a construction company called Omax, and the audition was happening here in Delhi, and I went for the audition. That is long time back, I guess in 2016, when I had just started. So they made me wait in the lobby, as normally people have to wait there, and there were lots of people of my age group. And the director who was taking the audition, the director himself was auditioning. So he was late, stuck somewhere in traffic, and he came in 2 hours late. He just gave a look towards me and he said that, who's called this person? So the casting wala said, we've called him. He said, we need a poor clerk, office clerk kind of character, and this guy doesn't look like that at all. So you can send him off. So I told him, excuse me, I've been waiting for more than 2 hours. I would like to step in front of the camera once, be auditioned, and then you can send me off, not like this. So I auditioned for that. I got that role. And when I ended up in shooting in Chandigarh, they didn't deliberately tell me that I'm shooting with Hema Malini ji for my very first TV commercial in life. And when she came to the sets and, I saw her, I was totally zapped because I've been watching her movies and she is the dream girl. So that was one thing that I remember. I shot with her for 5 days and I had a lovely experience. That time I thought maybe I have arrived. Then, of course, Bharat, my scene was there with Salman Khan, and that was also very nice. Then with Bhumi and Tapsi. And now, I have learned in this profession that you can't be star-stuck as a professional. On the sets, you have to pretend to be very cool and not bother people by staring at them and, asking for selfies and all. So I pretend as one of them and act as much starry as them.
Wasn't starstruck. My debut movie was Darbar, and I was asked by the casting director. The casting director said, you know, how big a fan are you of Rajnikant? I said, who isn't? So she said, तो तुम्हारा क्या होगा? I said, "Mera kya hoga?" She said, "This is a confrontational role you have with him, and बड़े-बड़े आर्टिस्टों की बोलती बन हो जाती है. Lot of big artists also, they are not able to give their dialogues in front of these big artists. You have never stood in front of a camera for a movie. Okay, this is your first movie, and you're going to be straight in front of Rajnikant. What's going to happen to you? Will you be able to say your dialogues?" I said, "Why not? End of the day, I'm a human being, he's a human being. I'm an artist, he's an artist. On the set, when when the camera is not on, he is Rajnikant and I am Kalpana. But moment the camera is on, he's the character, I am the character." And I said, "I've heard he's a very nice gentleman. There's nothing to be scared about. I don't think I will face an issue where I will not be able to give my dialogues in front of him." So, this was, and believe it or not, the shoot was happening. My shoot happened on the first day of the movie's Murat.
Oh, okay.
The first half, yeah. And so I was dressed up as the human rights commissioner and all of that. And Murugadas ji is the director. Santosh Shivan was the cinematographer. Murugadas ji knew this was my first movie, so he said, "Let us practice." So we practiced and all of that. And of course, since my dialogue was with to Rajnikant ji, he wasn't there. There was an AD standing in his place. And then they said, "Okay, ma'am is ready." We didn't have to rehearse too much. And then they called Rajni sir on the set. And I was told that I need to look into his eyes and say my dialogue. Okay. And before that, when the AD had come to my place to give me the script, my part, he's telling me, "Ma'am, Rajni sir is a one take, two take person. You please learn your lines correctly and come, huh? On the set, we should not face an issue." I said, "Yeah, yeah, don't worry. According to me, you won't face an issue because I also generally give my part in one, two takes. Ideally, you will not face an issue," but I said, fingers crossed. I was very nervous. And then he said action. Murugadas sir said action. And I went and I looked into Rajni sir's eyes and I gave my dialogue. Now, this is a dialogue which is, I'm giving him a lot of anger. So I can't show it too much, but yet it is there. That, and I had to look into his eyes and give it to him. And believe me, his eyes, when director said cut and I was standing and talking with him, I said, "Sir, your eyes. Oh my God, I tell you, he has such piercing eyes. It is literally as though he is cutting through you and looking through you. And it is very difficult to stare into his eyes." And he is also supposed to give me that kind of a look because that is the kind of scene we are playing. And we did some two takes. And then Murugadas sir, when he likes what you do, he will say one word. He will say, "Super, super." And he said that. And I didn't know. So I had made with some of the other co-artists. They came and told me, "Sir ne aisa bola means you've done a good job." I said, "Ha." I was able to do it. And I didn't fumble with my lines or get odd and not give what was required. So yeah, that was a wonderful experience.
I have this huge voice on social media against age shaming. I haven't been stereotyped at all by the industry because I get all these fashion related roles and youngish roles and villain and all those bindas kind of roles. But outside the industry, in my social life, I face a lot of age shaming because of my insistence on my gray hair and beard. I'm being called a Buddha, this, samaj ko kharab karne wala, because I wear fashionable clothes. People expect you to just sit at home and, japo a mala, and fashionable and not be trendy and not be going out and doing things which young people. I don't understand this entire concept of age. Everybody is young. Why categorize people into old and young and everything? And so those negative comments, even on my live feeds on Instagram, somebody is commenting, "Buddhe, ghar pe baith ja, itni uchal kood mat kar." I absolutely hate that. I have a strong voice against that. I do point it out and I do shame people on being so, age shaming kind of people. So I have great objection to age shaming.
Kalpana, what has your experience been? Have you faced any age shaming and specifically body shaming? Because women in India tend to go through that a lot. no matter what age. So for everyone listening in, tell us about both.
Okay, age shaming, I haven't faced much of it. The what I faced is when people come to know that I'm away from the family and that I'm living alone. So I have had a lot of the women my age, yes, slightly younger, slightly older women look down on me, saying that you are abandoning your family and you are out trying to look out for yourself. So I have faced that shaming, and they have ignored me, left me alone on the set while having lunch and all of that. And they have gone and sat in a group because, according to them, what I'm doing is wrong. Now, they don't know what my background is and whatever. I don't care because I have my family's support. I have come here with their full support and blessings. So that does not bother me. But yes, I have faced that part. Body shaming, I did face quite a bit. Now, body shaming, most of it I actually faced in Bangalore, not here in Mumbai. Now, I remember I was at this one shoot we were doing for appliances. And so, there was a cooler over there. So I said, you know what, now they had given me, I was like a Goan auntie. They had made a gown for me, a nightie for me, which was adding double the size to what I was because it had been made so voluminous. They had tried to reduce it, but it didn't make much of a difference. So what I was earlier, it was adding much more to my size. So I just jokingly, I said to the guy who was my husband in that, I said, you know what, I'll stand behind the appliance and you stand this side so that, it doesn't show that I'm so big. So I got a comment from one of the important people on the set over there. He's like, when you're big, you will look big only now. What is the big deal about it? What's the point in height? So, he said it very meanly. And there were so many people on the set, that it really, somewhere it hurt. Okay. So what I did, I came out of the appliance, I stood over there and I told him, I said, you know what? They are paying money for this to stand here because this is what they want. I am
Correct.
what I am. You don't know why I'm like this. You have no right to say this to me. I have not eaten your food and become like this. You don't know what my backstory is. You have no right to make a comment at me. So people love to talk. For them to throw barbs at others, to hurt others, उनका कुछ जाता नहीं है ना. The tongue has no bone. It doesn't hurt them.
Yes, I've fought with depression for a long, long time, and thankfully I overcame it, and I could find the strength within. This might sound very cliched or very bookish kind of thing, but you have to find the strength within yourself. You got to love life to its fullest. You got to love yourself the most. What I realized about my depression is that I kept on suffering till I was trying to come up to other people's expectations who were important in my life, and I was sacrificing for them and giving up so many things to make those relationships work. So the moment I realized that I have to love myself the most because I am going to be there with myself till my last breath. Every other relationship is fleeting. They either leave you while you are living or they die on you and leave you, but you are there for yourself. So you got to stand up for yourself. You got to love yourself, not get into a relationship which will harm your own emotional health. So the moment I realized that and I started looking into myself for all the answers, things started falling in place. So you got to be strong. You got to love life to its fullest and, take it as the last chance at life and give it your best shot. So that is, you got to have a strong willpower. That is what I realized.
I believe in positive talk to self. We do the maximum harm with what we talk to ourselves. If we keep on telling ourselves all the time that you're no good, you're no good, you're no good, you're no good, in spite of being good, one fine day you start believing you're really not good. Okay. And it is very easy to do that. That's a very easy path to go down and a very tough path to come out of. So I, prefer giving self motivation or rather, sorry, self talk, which is towards the positive side. And, I always believe in the glass half full philosophy. I can always top it up. Or if I can't top it up, at least the glass is half full. It's not empty for me. So I find that really works. And I'm also a motivator, like you had said earlier. So I have found that, I have a lot of people reached out to me in the pandemic, and I have been speaking to them. When I speak to them, when I am motivating them, giving them strength, giving them courage, it has in a way worked on my own self also. So, I really find that the positive talk works, and it works all the time. So what you think is what you will become. It's like I had somebody who I was speaking to very recently. She told me, you know what, I want to get into this, but my family is saying no. She wants to be part of this industry, and her family is saying no to her. And they're saying कि नहीं अभी ये उम्र है, you sit at home, you look after the family and all. I said, is this all a woman's life is? Especially this is told to women. Okay, the guys are still accepted that they will do something, but for a woman it is like a stereotype. It is, she's become this age, I have become my age, I have been told that I should be thinking about my children's house should get set up, and that they will have children, and my job is to be the grandmother and take care of the children. My job is not to do what I'm doing. I'm like, I'm very sorry, I don't think that is all a woman's life is supposed to be.
Two Malayalam movies as the speaking central villain character, and one Tamil movie and one Punjabi movie, and none of these are my mother tongues. And there is dubbing all the time, and there are people to help you on the sets to understand the emotions, and you just have to remember, memorize, and deliver them with emotion. So if your personality is bigger than the language, then you can always, make it. But if you are cowed down by this fact ke mujhe English bolna nahi aata, mujhe Hindi bolna nahi aata, mujhe Marathi bolna nahi aata, and that shows on your face and your personality, then you can't make it. So you have to rise above that kind of complex. And there is dubbing, there are people to help you, there are ADs to do everything for you. So you just have to be a good actor, and language is not the barrier anywhere in acting.
Okay, that's wonderful. So I just have, a related question. I just want, so more from a practical point of view, all of us are kind of very attracted by the glamour world, but is
See, very, very simply put, you have to treat it like a proper career if that is what you are looking for. And you have to give dedicated time to it. You cannot, it's like I used to have a lot of people reach out to me when I was in Bangalore, and they used to tell me, oh, I'm going to be free after 6 in the evening. Tell them to organize a shoot after that. This is for somebody who had reached out to me, wanted to act. Okay. I said, they don't work as per our timings. We have to work as per their timings. When they say we need an audition done, you either have to do a self audition and give, or go for the audition. When they say you need to show up on the set at a certain time, you need to be over there. So one has to persevere, but one has to be very focused. So if people are looking at it as a time pass thing to do, then I'm sorry, you will not get that kind of work, because then you are not serious and sincere about it.